Hello and welcome back to Projects in Java. We are going to continue working on our MediaPlayer application. Today we'll be working on getting the functionality of our control bar working. So we want to be able to skip, control the volume, and play and pause the video. It's my favorite part of the project because you get to create that interaction with it. Until now we've only been watching the video. So let's go back to our project and we're going to go into the media bar. And so here in the media bar, the first thing that we're going to work with is our play button. So we want to create an action for our play button. And we can do this by calling set on action. So this is the action that gets called whenever you press the button. We're going to pass that a new event handler. And you can see Eclipse will actually give us a description of what to put in. And there's the syntax for it. In here, we're going to create a handle function that has an action event. Going to make sure to import our Java effects classes. Okay, and so now we're ready to enter in our action, our logic for the pause and play button. So first thing that we need to get is the player status. So we'll create a new status variable and we'll get the status from the player. Do our import. Since our video starts off playing, we're going to go ahead and check that first. So if our status is equal to status dot plain, so if our status is equal to status dot plain, we are going to also check to see if we're at the end of the video. And the reason why we're checking to see if we are at the end of the video is because if the video ends, the status is still plain. And so we need to get the current time by using this function. And we can use greater than or equal to, and we're going to get the total duration. And so what we're checking here is if the current time is greater than or equal to the total duration. So this means we're at the end of the video. So if we're here at the end of the video, we're going to play the video again from the beginning. So we can call the player seek function, and we're going to use the start time, which normally we can use 0, but we are going to get the start time just to be safe. And we'll play the player again. Okay, and so the other status that we need to check is if it's not playing, and there's actually a few different ones. So we'll check all of them to make sure we fall into this branch. So we have status dot paused, or we also have halted, and status dot stopped. So if we fall into any of these, we need to go ahead and start playing the video again. So here we'll play the video, and we'll set the text of the play button to a pause button. Okay, and before we launch this to check it, I left out an else condition here, where if we're not at the end of the video, we are just going to go ahead and pause it at the current location. So we'll call player.pause, and we'll set the text of the player button to a play button. And we'll just use the greater than symbol for that. Okay, and so let's go ahead and see if this is working. And our play and pause button is working correctly. So the next thing that we're going to do is update the slider, the time slider. So what we want is the effect that the slider is following the current time. So to do this, we need to add a listener to our player. And we're going to add this to the current time property. So we'll call player.currentTimeProperty.addListener. And this is going to be a new invalidation listener. And a function here we'll call invalidated. And so here we'll call another function that we're going to create that we'll name update values. And we'll create that outside of the constructor. And so we want this to be runnable. So we'll create this with platform.runLater. We'll pass that a new runnable. We'll have another function in here. We'll call this run. And so here we need to update the time value. So we'll get the time object, the time slider, and set the value to the player current time. And we'll put that as milliseconds. Divided by the total duration, also in milliseconds. And multiply that by 100. Okay, make sure I have all my errors corrected before I test this. And we'll see if the slider is updating. So now the slider is moving across. We need to create another function so that we can seek. We can jump to a certain part of the video that we want to look at. And to do that, we need to add a listener to the time slider. So same concept here. We're going to call the value property and add a listener to that. Same type of listener, new invalidation listener. And so here we need to check if the time is pressed. And if it is pressed, we're going to seek on the player. So player.seek. We need to get the duration of the video and multiply that by the value. So we'll call player.getMedia.getDuration.multiply. And so we're going to pass a double parameter to the multiply function. And that is going to be time.getValue divided by 100. Okay, and so this is going to make the video jump to wherever we clicked. Okay. And the last thing we need to set up is our volume slider. And we can actually just take this if we want. Since it's a slider, it's exactly the same. Okay. And this time, same thing. If the volume is pressed, we'll change the volume. And to set the volume in the player, we have the set volume function. And we'll pass that a double. We'll get the value from the volume slider divided by 100. And our volume works for that as well. So it's very neat what we can do by adding some listeners to our sliders and some actions to our buttons. We're able to control this video and make a very fluid player very quickly using JavaFX. In our next video, what we're going to do is enable the option to switch video, and we'll use a file chooser to set that up.